Good afternoon, everybody. Irene Weisman, immigration attorney. Today is Friday, January 10th, 2025. So as I was thinking what I was going to discuss today, in reality, well, there is a lot that I can discuss, but I decided to do like a summary of things that are happening, just brief news that are coming out today, yesterday, um, and just some thoughts that I had. So I'll just title this as immigration news um, for the week of um, January, what would be the week of January 6th, right? January 6th to 10th. So today is Friday, it's the end of the week, but this would just sort of, I guess, summarize as to things that have been happening. So USCIS has advised people or applicants about refunds that they will be issuing for those applicants who submitted their applications for the program that has been discontinued by a court injunction and then subsequently a court ruling, and that's the Keeping the Families Together program. I think when I first started doing my YouTube programs, I did the segment on this. So if you want to go back to the earlier programs, there is a whole segment on this, but it's the I-131F, the Keeping the Families Together parole that President Biden came out with, and it was active for like less than a week, basically, until we had a court injunction, and then finally the court said that that the president does not have this authority, and that basically this program is not legitimate and it cannot be. But people have submitted applications, quite a few people submitted applications, and what USCIS is doing is they will be refunding the government fees to the people that have submitted their applications, and those applications were pending with the USCIS. So if you are one of those persons that have submitted this application, either you're going to receive a check refund in the next few weeks, and if you've made the payment by credit card, then they'll credit your card back in the next few weeks. Another news that came out today is that the administration has redesignated El Salvador for TPS, temporary protective status. Again, I did a segment on TPS. You can go back to my program. I believe it's titled TPS, temporary protective status, where I describe what it is and which countries have it right now. And there I spoke about which countries were up for a designation. El Salvador was one of those countries. So today USCIS has redesignated El Salvador. So this would be from March 3rd of this year, valid until September 9th of 2026. So they did another 18-month redesignation. If you're eligible, you should re-register for TPS, okay? If you've never registered, schedule a consultation with an attorney, see if you're eligible for late registration, or see if this can benefit you in any way. But if you are a TPS holder from El Salvador, please be sure to re-register for TPS. Next, there was a final rule published that authorizes ICE to serve bond-related notices electronically for those obligors who consent for electronic delivery of service. So if you are posting immigration bond for somebody who is in ICE's custody, okay, and you go into their system and you register and you designate everything to be electronic, and you authorize ICE to send you notices electronically, then that's what they would do, okay? So that rule went into effect yesterday, I believe. And something else I wanted to discuss. So we've always had the law, I guess, the rule, the law that ICE is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It has very broad authority when, to protect our borders and to operate in the area that is 100 miles away from the border. So, whether it's our south border or our north border with Canada, okay? In the last 2 weeks, I have had several calls where a loved one was detained by ICE while they were working. They're working in black car service, driving customers in the area close to the Canadian border. One gentleman was close to Vermont, another gentleman was up in the Buffalo area, and I think there was somebody else in Michigan, it may have been, I don't remember at this point. Cab drivers, okay, or black limo drivers, okay, they weren't regular. Yeah, I think one may have been an Uber driver, and one was a black cab driver, and another one was also black cab driver. Anyways, the point is that the cars were stopped and documents were checked, and the driver of the car was detained by ICE, okay? Now, everybody has different immigration status. These particular people have cases pending, but that's a big problem, okay? It has always been a big problem where, if I had a penny for all my clients who were detained when they were near Niagara Falls or traveling in, Arizona or Texas, just driving through, sightseeing, okay? You got to be careful, okay? If you are undocumented and you are within that 100 miles of the border, and ICE has very broad authority, and they can detain, and they will take you to to an ICE detention center, and they will question you, and they'll put you in removal proceedings, okay? And whether you may or may not be eligible for bond, that's a whole different other story. But the point is, I'm sorry, everybody. The point is that you're creating much bigger problems for yourself. So you got to be real careful, especially going forward in the next week or so. If you're driving within 100 miles of that border, you got to be real mindful, okay? You got to try to assess where you are, know exactly where you're going, have your documents handy and ready, your immigration paperwork. If you're stopped, know what to say, know your rights. You do have rights, but just, I guess, a pattern that I've noticed, and I can't tell you that I'm liking it, but be careful, everybody, okay? And I'll leave you with those thoughts. All week I wanted to do a segment on immigration and taxes, but that's a longer, we are starting a tax season. So I will hopefully do that next week, okay, as we get closer to the beginning of the tax season. Very important subject. So stay tuned for that, and have a good weekend, everybody, and I will see you on Monday. Irene Weisman, it is still Friday, January 10th, 2025. After I recorded, I see that the USCIS has also redesignated TPS for not just El Salvador, but also for Ukraine, Venezuela, and Sudan for 18 months. Okay, so good news in this regard. Have a good day, everybody.